thesportsminionradio.net. I'm your host, DJ, and we're here to deliver the sports news the most entertaining way we can. What's up, everybody? It's that time again, 2 o'clock. It's time for the Sports Minion Radio Show. I'm your host, D to the J, with roll away, because you like the way I roll, because I roll with style, baby. Boy, have we got a good one for you today. Got a lot of things to talk about, got a lot of things to cover. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the show. Going to kick it off here right now. If anybody wants to call in and talk to us, you can call in to Let Go Radio at 757-774-7552. Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Minion Radio Show. All right, got a couple things to cover that we want to go over. I want to talk just about Grandmaster Jack Dart. He's got a special going on, Body by Jack, 8 weeks of cardio fitness and kickboxing. That actually started October 1st, and that is going on right now, $110 for 8 weeks. You can call Grandmaster Jack Dart on that for the studio information and all of that. It's 757-416-1120. His new location is Jack Dart Taekwondo Champions, 1949 Lynn Haven Parkway in the Lynn Haven Parkway Shopping Center at the intersection of Lynn Haven and Princess Anne Road. All right, we've got the Kelly's Choice Caregivers Gala coming up November the 16th. Y'all get your formal attire ready, and as Brother Palsy said before, make sure you have it with you and you have it on, because you want to look good and be good in style, and that is going to be at the 757 Hub. That is the address for that is going to be 6801 Bridgeway Drive, and that is Suffolk, Virginia 23435. Hey, Elizabeth, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. All right, we also have Grandmaster Jack Dart's birthday battle that is coming up October the 19th. That is at Atlantic Shores Christian School, 1217 Centerville Turnpike North, Chesapeake, Virginia 23320. That is going to be, registration begins 8:30 to 10 a.m. Black belt meeting is at 10, and the competition begins at 10:30 sharp. It's $70 for 1 or 3 events. If you bring 2 non-perishable canned food items, it'll drop it down to $65. Spectators' fee is $7. Make sure that y'all come out. We're going to have sparring, weapons, empty hand. We're going to have kumite. Going to have a lot of fun. Y'all make sure y'all come out. And again, that is October 19th, 2019. Be there or be square. Again, I'd like to welcome those just joining in to the Sports Minion Radio Show. And glad to have everybody. All right, so real quick, I want to cover Tiger Martial Arts is having a special that they've actually extended through the end of the month of October. They had it originally for 2 weeks, and they have extended it. It is 2 weeks of training, $49.95, and the uniform is included. That is 5801 Portsmouth Boulevard, and that is in Portsmouth, Virginia. Y'all go check them out. For more information, you can call 757-488-3882 and talk with one of their certified instructors. Hey, Blake, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you, brother. All right, so I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I am going to cover my cerebral palsy story first, and that is for any age. Yes, I believe the ages start at 5, and again, you can call the number that I gave there, and I will put that in the comments. 757. Whoops, let me get into the little comments there, and I'll pin it. 757-488 and 3882, and that's Tiger Martial Arts, and we will put that in, and then I will also pin that comment there. All right, so we'll pin it. All right, so that is the number for you, so you guys can actually check that out. Now, this story that I'm going to cover today is going to take up a good majority of my time, and that's why I went through my things that I had to cover first. This story, I guess I see some parts of it, and I really don't. I'm with Allstate Insurance, and I have auto insurance through them. I have renter's insurance through them. I've been with Allstate since I was 20 years old, since I lived in Waynesboro. Now, I actually was looking at getting life insurance for myself. I already have a policy that my mom got for me when I was a baby or when I was young through Shenandoah Life. But I was actually looking for getting an extra policy for myself and one for Emily as well. And when I noticed, when I talked to one of the owners of the company that is in Stanton, I was told that Allstate will not cover those with CP. They do it on a case-by-case basis, but it's 95% of the time they do not cover those with CP. Now, my rebuttal to that was, why are you not covering people with CP? Because CP, in all the cases that I've known, in all the research that I've seen, does not affect life expectancy, because everything is done through insurance companies on a mortality rate table. That is how they come up with their rates and all of that for age groups and things like that, because I know diabetes is an issue for some companies. I know for some companies, diabetes will be taken at a regular rate because they choose. It is the insurance company's choice. Well, my question to that and my response to this is there are 40 million people in the world that are affected by CP and different types of CP. And CP severity does not affect the life expectancy of how long someone is expected to live. It does not deteriorate the brain. It does not get worse over time as far as causing you like MS or gosh, there's a couple others out there, and my it's eluding me right now. But there are several Lou Gehrig's disease, MS. There are several that worsening and get bone deterioration. Now, Emily has degenerative disc disease, and at the age of 28, about to be 29, that is where I can see where someone would not be covered until they get to a certain age. That I understand. But for Allstate not to cover people with cerebral palsy, I'm blown away by this. Because how can you say as a company that you will, number one, not make enough of a profit, that you don't want to hire the researchers or Allstate doesn't want to pay the money to hire the researchers to figure out and research what CP is about? As an insurance company, Allstate has been great. And I look at something like this, I look at something like this and I say, well, now wait a minute. How can you take life insurance and say, we're not going to cover you because you have cerebral palsy, because you're confined to a chair? That to me is discrimination. Now, I'm not trying to look at this and say, oh, I have a personal issue in the matter, but the fact is I do. I live with CP. Now, the thing about it is Allstate does have avenues that you can go through Crump and through Gerber, which only offer $10,000 policies until the age of 44. Now, the problem with that is I don't want $10,000. I want $25,000. I want $30,000, because a funeral by itself can cost anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 on its own. And I'm trying to figure out. So I talked to Tim Baker, is the owner of Allstate in Stanton. I believe John, his dad, was at first. And Tim is a great guy. Tim and I talked. We've been friends since I was 20 years old. We went to church together. And Tim, I can see from a business side, business has got to make money. A business has got to be able to make money and to come in on this and say, look, we don't think, Allstate as a company has looked into this. Other companies are not hiring are not covering people with CP. A lot of the companies are the same. Well, I've done some research and I've talked to several people, and what I'm going to have to end up doing is I'm going to have to end up going to the insurance commissioner for the state of Virginia, and I'm actually going to have to end up talking to him about why and how this decision was made and how it was determined that people with CP were not going to be covered with life insurance by Allstate or by other companies. Because my main concern with this and my main problem with this whole situation is you're not talking about someone's life expectancy. You're talking about companies being lazy and not wanting to fork out the money when you're a big company and you're everywhere to research the issue and find out what truly CP is about. This is one of the main reasons I'm doing this show. People don't realize, people think CP is one thing. They don't want to sit there and do the research and realize that CP, it does affect people's lives, but it doesn't affect life expectancy. And that's the problem that I'm facing. Again, you guys can call in and talk about this if you want to, 757-774-7552. We're live on Let Go Radio right now. I am trying to figure out how this came to be, because I understand from a standpoint of not making profit. I'm asking myself, there are 40 million people, with over 40 million people in the United States that are affected, or in the world that are affected by different types of CP. So yet you're telling me if the average rate of $35.99 or $45.99 for a $15,000 to $20,000 policy, if you have no other health issues. Now I'm talking about CP in general. I'm not talking about diabetes. I'm not talking about anything else. I'm not talking about smoking. None of that. I'm talking about it in general, just CP basic coverage, chairs and things like that. Because I asked him, I said, is it an equipment thing? Is it because you would have to cover equipment? Because my equipment is covered under my renter's insurance policy. No, it is strictly based on the fact that CP is not covered by Allstate in general. Now, they do have avenues through Gerber and Crump, which do offer $10,000 policies, and Tim can write for those, and that was the first thing he told me. And there are a lot of people that don't agree with the way this is done. So my thing is, if you don't agree with it and you work for the company, one person can make a difference. One person can make a change. And I believe, hey, Miss Nikki, how are you? I believe that people with CP should stand up and take offense to this, and no pun intended there. I believe that we should stand up in whatever way we can and realize that this is a big issue. This is a big thing. Everyone needs life insurance because everybody sooner or later is going to die. I mean, I'm calling it point blank. I'm looking at it as point blank to say, listen, this needs to be looked at from a standpoint of rights. We as people with CP have rights. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing this. We appreciate it. I believe that because a company doesn't want to pay the money to hire researchers, you've got to research everything. You've got to research smoking. You've got to research life expectancy on other issues. You've got to research on diabetes. You've got to research on Lou Gehrig's disease and MS and automatic denial and life expectancy tables and all that other crap. Why in the world can't you look? And if you can see, and all you've got to do is search it on Google. I mean, CP does not affect life expectancy. So why is this so hard? If you take 40 million people, if you take cerebral palsy as a whole, and they're saying they're not going to make a profit? Seriously, at a base rate of $49? Come on. You accept auto insurance from me, and I don't drive, but I have to have auto insurance on my car, and you'll cover my car, but you're not going to cover the person who drives it. You're going to cover me if I'm in an accident. What's the same difference? It's to say that people affected by CP deserve life insurance, they deserve auto insurance, they deserve home insurance, they deserve renter's insurance. They deserve the same rights as everybody else, and this is flat out discrimination, and it's not right. And I didn't want to say that at first, but the more I look at this situation, it is a personal issue. It is a personal issue to me because I do have cerebral palsy. I do have, I live with it every day, along with the other 40 million. And there's probably more than that are affected by it every day. That's like saying, I'm not going to allow you to ride on my transportation because you have CP. It's the same exact thing. Hire some. You don't need to hire that many people. There's not that many cases of CP that have, one affects mental, one affects physical. You've got 3 different types. Search them, hire your resources, and bite the bullet and get some money out of it. You want to make big money? Cover people with CP. And I believe that I'm right on this. I believe that it should be looked at as, as somebody who says, listen, I need life insurance because everything right now in this day and age is expensive. We've got medicines we've got to pay for. We've already got equipment that we got to pay for, which Medicare only covers 80% of it, and we got to cover the other 20. Why is that right? Now we're sitting here, and I'm sitting here listening to this, and as great as Tim is, and this is not any effect on Tim. I respect the heck out of him. I think he's a great individual. I love him to death. But for somebody to sit there and say, for an owner to say, we at Allstate and our underwriters have decided that we are not going to cover CP because, number one, we don't want to hire the people to do the research. Number two, we don't think we're going to make a profit. And number three, there's not enough. How is 40 million people not enough? How is 40 million people with cerebral palsy not enough to cover somebody? I don't understand what this means as far as for us. How do we fight this? I mean, yes, the state commissioner is one way, but how was this determined that a company as big, because Allstate is huge. You see Allstate TV advertising all the time. You see that and Progressive all the time. You see State Farm all the time. I see one more State Farm commercial, I'm going to break my daggone TV. I tell you, and their slogan is, are you in good hands with Allstate? I have to ask the question, are you? I am seriously considering, because of this, I am seriously considering changing my insurance company. I'm going to do some research first before I do this, because I'm going to have a follow-up show in 2 weeks. I am calling every insurance company out there. I'm going to call Progressive. I'm going to call State Farm. I'm going to call Elephant. I'm going to call every single insurance company out there, and I'm going to do the research on this myself, because I believe, as a person with CP and as a person that deserves the same that everybody else does, we as a people should stand up for this, because no one else is going to stand up for us, and it's not right. It's not right. It's not right that we have to suffer enough to go through all this crap by ourselves, and nobody else is going to help us out. We got to do it on our own. And that's the thing I'm trying to figure out as to why. Because if we don't stand up for it, who will? And this right here, when you look at it as a whole, because someone's saying they don't want to do the research and they don't want to hire the people, they don't want to pay the money to do the research, it's not that hard to do research on cerebral palsy. It is not. The internet is full of case-by-cases. And they say, now, here's the other thing. With Allstate, they have said that life insurance is only 5% of what the company covers. The company covers mainly casualty and homeowner. Okay? Well, I understand that. And as I've said before, I have auto insurance through Allstate. I have renters through Allstate. When I get when Emily and I get our first home, let's see, I'll do what I can find. I appreciate that, Blake. Thank you very much. I appreciate you hammering in on this. And just talking with Blake. Blake has CP as well, and he can walk. And I'm talking about this as a whole for a person involved that is expected. You go to a doctor right now with cerebral palsy, and he says to you, this is not going to affect how long you're going to live, whether it's 70 or 80 years. Because to tell you the truth, nobody knows how long anybody's going to live in this world, and I'm trying to figure out why this cannot be researched, and they can't, as a company, say, why are we really not choosing this? Because if you think you can't make money off of 40 million people and covering people the right way, This to me comes down to right or wrong. What's the real issue here? I keep hearing, that it's only 5% of the company, but 5% of $40 million, $40 million at 5%, really? Come on. It does not take a rocket scientist to say, wait a minute, what is going on here and why is this happening? I go around the world and I see, and this can affect millions of people. And if every insurance company is doing this, and I don't know if it's every insurance company, I can't speak for every insurance company. I can only speak for what I've heard. And I will tell you this, people don't agree with it. People don't agree with it. I can't say who, but I can say this. People do not agree with what's going on. And it's not right. Because if the world was based on profit, there would be no world. Because without the people to make the money, the world doesn't revolve without the people. And I hope that makes sense to you guys. Everybody says money makes the world go round. That is true to a point. But if there are no people living in it and people aren't taken care of, how can they make the money and how can the world revolve? And that's a true statement. You've got to look at life as a whole. There are people that are having children with CP. I cannot remember her name, but the lady at the last round table that we had just had a brand new baby. She cannot get life insurance for her child because she has CP. Now, are they going to cover her child if her child has CP? And I have heard that in some cases they do cover. Well, they need to cover more and they need to get research on this thing because it's not right not to cover somebody. How in the world can you sit there and say you're not going to cover a person with CP when it does not affect their main way of living? And they are expected to live out the same life that everybody else is. They just live it differently. Even with spina bifida, that does not affect life expectancy. And it's the same thing. That's like saying we're not going to cover people with disabilities because we don't want to do the research to find out what they're truly about. And to look at this and to say, okay, this is wrong. As a whole, we need to stand together and realize we got to fight this. So the way to do that, and I've again talked to a person that has been involved with me in Virginia for through Samaritan Insurance. He told me the way to change it because it has to change company-wide. The company has to decide whether or not they're going to cover it, and they have the right to choose. That's not discrimination. Where the discrimination comes in is if it's the same, and where I feel the discrimination has come in, if it's the same as everybody else, and if the change is the same as everybody else, why can't you cover us? The other thing is, for me to go in and talk to whoever's in charge of whatever company, they're going to, you can write letters and you can get grants and you can do all that. But what really has to happen, this needs to change statewide because I'm sure other companies are going to do the same thing because I know Allstate has told me that they've talked to other companies and other companies have done the same thing. That is why I have said, myself, I am going to research it by going to other companies, by calling them, by saying, okay, here's what Allstate has told me, what can you do? Here's what Allstate has told me, what can you do? And I'm going to go to every single insurance company I can find to find out exactly what they will cover, exactly what they will charge me, and exactly what this is going to be. Because this right here, when you look at it as a whole, and I was talking about this earlier, I believe that this is discrimination. Because there's no difference, and here's where I feel that it's discrimination. There's no difference between me and Joe Blow on the side of the street getting insurance right now, effective by health and the degree of life expectancy based on that medical table. That doesn't change. I am 38 years old, and I'm expected to as long as I don't go play in traffic and try to pick up buses while they're running on the interstate, y'all don't get me started, get my blood pressure up. Lord have mercy. I'm trying to tell you. See, Blake says, so I can pretty much live a normal life, but according to State Farm, I'm not worth being covered by life insurance. Now, again, that's Allstate. I don't know if that's State Farm, Blake, but again, that's Allstate. Let's make sure that I cover that. I'm going to check on that, and that's one of the things that, again, I'm going to see about. But that's a good question, and that's what I'm saying. Nothing. We are expected from doctor standpoints now. I'm not pulling this out of the air, guys. From doctor standpoints, from a personal standpoint, from a diagnosed medical standpoint, we are expected as people with cerebral palsy to live normal life expectancy, which I believe for men it's like 80 something, and for women it's like 90. So I think it's 89 to like 90, 97, somewhere in there. But yet we cannot be covered with life insurance because Allstate doesn't want to take the risk. So the big question that we go to, and we keep running around this area for lack of better terms, is why? Why is because they don't want to shell out the money from their company to do the research is one. They haven't done the research. They make false statements. I'm going to cover you because we don't know what CP is about. That is, that's all right. That is discrimination. How is it not? Someone tell me that is watching right now how this is not discrimination. Whether it's on a company's base and a right to choose, what is this doing to the people that for the people that they're choosing not to cover? And this is why I'm so irritated by this, because I'm looking at this. It's a simple fix. You're talking about wanting to be able to make money, wanting to be able to be the number one company in the world, and you're everywhere. You are everywhere. Look, I can see that you don't want to cover homeowners insurance in Florida. My brother and I were just talking about this. Because of the hurricanes and the flooding in Florida and the damage that they caused, no insurance company in Florida would offer flooding and homeowners insurance. So Florida actually had to come up with a statewide insurance that says if you want to cover our people in Florida with vehicle and home insurance and renters insurance, you've got to cover them with flood and casualty and homeowners and all that. And that's right. That's the way it should be done. And the only people that can do this, and the only people that can truly change it, is us. If we don't stand up and take a right for this, if we don't stand up and fight this, if we don't stand up and do something about it, we're going to sit in the same places we've always sit and say, this is not right, this is discrimination. But what are we going to do about it as a people? And I'm talking about it as a whole, not just me. There should not just be 4 people watching this. This should be lighting up, going around the world, going viral, because people aren't going to cover us as a people with cerebral palsy for life insurance. This is our life that we're talking about. This is not right, and it should change. And I'm going to do my best to see that it does. Who is with me? And that's what I want to ask. Who is with me, and who's going to take that leap of faith and go out there with me and try to find this out? Because you have to fight for yourself as much as I want to fight for you. So basically, that is my CP issue for the day. That's what kind of I've talked about. I touched on spina bifida. Now, let me say one more thing to this. With Emily, I talked about, the life expectancy with Emily, because Emily is 28. Emily, she can get the same $10,000 that I can get through Crump or Gerber or whoever the insurance provider that we decide to go through. Once I do some research, I'll make a decision. But again, Allstate doesn't even know why this number was reached. This is a number that says once they reach 44, and most of them say 50, 45 to 50. For most insurance companies that I've seen, they will cover us with higher with higher insurance policies that we can get. So I'm trying to figure out, and I'm trying to go in my head and say, look, because from a business standpoint, the goal of a business to run is to make money. If you turn away a person with a disability that is otherwise normal, except for that disability that does not change their way of living and does not change how long they're going to live, how is that not discrimination? How can you not say you're in a company that you don't want to make money because you got 40 million untouched people? 40 million untouched people that may not have life insurance. And for the rest of their lives, they're going to wonder, what am I supposed to do? Well, not me, not today. I'm taking a stand for it, and I'm going to fight as hard as I can. All right, a couple of NFL stories I want to go over. Let me, first of all, I want to mention the WWE Hell in a Cell that happened this past Sunday. Great event. I think it was well done all the way up to the last match. And I do want to talk about Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch for a minute. That cage match between those two women was amazing. I think both women put themselves on the line with it. I think that it was done well. I think as I've said before, the women in WWE right now are taking over. I believe that they have been taking over for a while, and it just keeps getting better and better. NXT is blowing off the roof. They brought Finn Balor back into NXT. Triple H is doing a marvelous job over there. Now, let me just talk about one thing with Hell in a Cell real quick, and you guys, feel free to comment on this. The Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins match, The Fiend and Seth Rollins. It is a Hell in a Cell match, which is no disqualification, no count out. The only way to win is to pin your opponent or make him submit. They stopped the match when Seth Rollins used Triple H's sledgehammer and hit it on steel steps while Bray Wyatt was buried under chairs and this and that and the other, and all of a sudden they stopped the match. I don't know why the match was stopped. There was no clear indication that Bray Wyatt was hurt. There was no clear indication because he got back up and attacked Seth Rollins after the match was over. I don't even see the point of the storyline of stopping the match and what they're going to do with it. So that was the downer point for me of the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. I was not happy with them stopping the match. Now, I do also want to talk about Bayley. Bayley right now is crumbling. As she lost the women's championship to Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair wins the women's championship and now has become a 10-time women's champion. Actually, Blake just put a link up here for qualifying life insurance for cerebral palsy. Blake, thank you again for this. Let me pin this as well. Let's see. There's an article here that has some information. I've just pinned the article here, so I will actually, after the show, go through and read that. Blake, thank you again for helping me with that. I appreciate it, my friend. I look at Bayley right now, and I'm wondering, because Bayley has talent in the ring. Bayley has always been talented since NXT. Bayley has had great skills since NXT when she was one of the four horsewomen. And I'm trying in my mind to figure out what is happening right now. I feel like she is losing some of her skill in the ring, and she's trying to be this neutral character, which to me, she cannot pull off. Some people are not good at being the antagonist. Randy Orton is good at being the antagonist. Stone Cold was great at being the antagonist. I don't see Bayley as a neutral person. She's trying to cater to the fans and be bad by poking people in the eye and cheating and doing Sasha Banks. There's only one Sasha Banks. There's not two. Bayley cannot copy Sasha Banks. Bayley can be Bayley, and she needs to figure out what she's going to do, whether it's be good, be bad, or be neutral. But I do not think she is going to do well with the neutral character. I think they need to get rid of her music that she has. They need to give her a whole revamp, change her look. And if she's going to go heel. She needs to go heel permanently. All right, so let's take a look at a couple other things here. Gronkowski has decided to become a Fox analyst for Fox Sports, and he is going to actually be on that. I believe it's this Thursday. Let me give you just a little bit of the article here and what we got. Let's see. 5 weeks into the season, Rob Gronkowski is coming back to the NFL, but not in the same capacity he was once known for. The retired tight end has been hired as a regular analyst on Fox Sports NFL programming. He'll debut on Thursday Night Football show ahead of the matchup between the New England Patriots and the New York Giants. Gronk said this: "I'm extremely excited to be joining Fox Sports. Their deep talent roster is unmatched, which was important for me as I embark on the new chapter of my life, because I'll be able to learn from the best in the business," Gronkowski said in a press release. I look at this right now and I say, you know what? I think this is a good move for Gronk, because we're going to get to see some of that humor, some of the things that are, best about him, and we'll see how Fox Sports takes it. Is he going to be there a year? Is he going to be there 2? Because he understands the game because he's played it for so long. So we'll have to see what happens there. I do want to go over a couple of things. Speaking of football, and I just want to let me go over here to my notes because I'm looking at this. All right, the firing of Jay Gruden. Redskins right now are 0-5, and I'm going to talk on this briefly because I've talked about it. I talked about it a little bit last week as well. The problem that we've got, I don't think this is all Jay Gruden. I think firing him was a good idea, but I also think that this starts from the top. When you have an owner of a team, which is Daniel Snyder, who has owned the team for 20 years, and in 20 years we've had, 2 playoff appearances, no Super Bowls, and we've been eliminated in the first round both times. You look at the decades that he's had, and nothing has been productive. You look at Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen is a big part of the problem. He does not need to be our general manager. It starts with Snyder, and then it goes to the GM, Bruce Allen. Bruce Allen is more of a backstage guy. He did the same thing in Oakland where he had the playoff appearances. He was not involved in player management, and he does not need to be. Now, Bill Callahan, I'm not sure what he's going to do, but I do like one thing that he did do. He already said, and I read this today, that Dwayne Haskins, the rookie quarterback for the Washington Redskins, is not in the running to start. It's either going to be Colt McCoy or it's either going to be Case Keenum in the fight for the 1 and 2 there. And I think that's smart. I want to see what he's going to do, with Greg Minuski. I want to see what he's going to do with the offense, so we've got to see where it goes. There's a possibility that his brother John Gruden, who is the head coach of the Raiders, gave him some sympathy. He said, look, Jay's been fired, I've been fired, everybody's been fired. A lot of people have been fired from their head coaching jobs. Welcome to the club. There was no statement as to whether Jay Gruden was going to there was no insurance. No insurance. There was no assurance that Jay Gruden was going to join the Raiders staff. I guess we'll find that out later. Now, here's the thing. Just talking about one more football story. I just want to go on this. Antonio Brown has reached out to the Patriots on Instagram and the fans that follow the Patriots. He wants to play football for them, and he says, you're going to pay me. He says, so why not let me earn it? So basically, long and short of that is that Antonio Brown wants to play football, but you got to stop doing stupid stuff. We talked about that. You do the crime, you pay the time, bada bing, bada boom, and that's the end of that. All right, let me go over a couple of predictions here before I get to my next story. I want to go over some scores and some games that happened last week. Let me just talk about these. There's 2 games that I actually want to talk about. The first one that I do want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns and the San Francisco 49ers. 31-3. San Francisco absolutely demolished Cleveland. Denver finally won a game. They took the Los Angeles Chargers 20-13. That was a good game. Joe Flacco was brilliant in that game. I do want to shed some highlights on there. Let me just pull this up and get you some stats. We'll talk about it because I tell you, Joe Flacco was about as good as I've seen him. 14 of 20, 182 yards, 1 interception, 3 sacks, 3 rushes for 7. I got to tell you, he looked good in there. I mean, really, he had a passing touchdown. I want to talk about, again, the running back for Denver. He had 13 carries for 61 yards, 4.7 a rush. We looked at he didn't. I mean, as far as the defense had defensive TDs. There were receptions there. Emmanuel Sanders 1 for 9. The tight end had 1 for 26. Philip Lindsay, the running back, 4 for 33. I mean, as far as Sutton, the wide receiver, 4 for 92. I mean, look at, and he had the TD there. And again, the turnovers for the Los Angeles Chargers was what hurt them. Rivers was 32 of 48, 211 yards. He had 1 rush for 3. And you look at, again, you talk about Gordon, 12 for 31. Eckler, 3 for 7. Benjamin, the wide receiver, 1 for 13. Green, 1 for 5. Gordon, 4 for 7. Watts, the running back, 1 for 8. Mike Williams, 6 for 74. I mean, it's just, they no production there. So Denver took that one. Let's go back and take a look at some of the other ones. And here's where I was surprised. Again, the Indianapolis Colts and Kansas City Chiefs, that's another game I want to look at real quick. That's the one I wanted to tell you about. And I had predicted that the Colts would beat the Chiefs by 3. They beat them a little bit more than that, just a little bit. Let's go over just some of the stats here real fast. Let me pull these up. Brissett, again, this kid continues to amaze me every week. 18 of 29, 151 yards, 1 interception, 6 rushes, 9 yards. I mean, again, Pascal, 1 for 12. Jordan Watkins, 7 for 28. The running back, Marion Mallon, the running back, 29 for 132 yards, 4.6. 30 was his longest. And again, Brissett had the passing touchdown. So, I mean, you've got talent there, and they just ran away with that one. Let me go ahead and get to my predictions for next week. Let me get these pulled up here. All right, week 6. Let's take a look. And I predicted that Jay Gruden would be fired in week 6, and Monday morning he was fired, so that's what happened. New England and the Giants. Of course, I'm picking New England there by 10. Pittsburgh and L.A. Pittsburgh's going to win a game finally. I'm going to say it there. Bengals and Baltimore. Baltimore's going to beat the Bengals by 3. New Orleans Saints and the Jaguars. I'm picking the Jaguars by 3. Washington, Miami. I predict that Washington gets their first win under Bill Callahan. We'll see what happens there. Falcons and Cardinals. Going to be a good game, but Cardinals by 10 there. Tennessee Titans and Denver Broncos. We're going to pick the Broncos there for going 2 in a row. I'm going to say the Broncos are going to win by 3. Carolina and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to say Carolina is going to keep the momentum going after their win last week. Seattle and Cleveland. Cleveland falls to Seattle by 10. Houston, Texas, and Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes is mad. I'm going to say Mahomes lights it up with 3 passing touchdowns. 21-3 final score for that one as Kansas City is going to take them over. Philadelphia and Minnesota. Minnesota's going to kick the ever-loving bejesus out of Philadelphia, 30-10. And then San Francisco and the LA Rams. San Francisco goes ahead and beats the Rams by 3. Dallas and New York. Dallas beats the New York Jets by 10. And then finally, Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. Good game, going to come down to the wire. I'm going to say Green Bay Packers win it by 10. And that's going there. So we'll see what happens on that. All right. I want to, let's see. I've talked about that. All right. The Washington Nationals right now. I do want to mention this, and I want to go ahead and go through a couple of things. I predicted last week, I said to you guys that the Washington Nationals will go to the World Series. They forced the Dodgers into Game 5. Their pitching staff is amazing. Max Scherzer went 7 innings last night or the night before. He did so well. I am so happy for Ryan Zimmerman with the 3-run shot. I got to tell you, they won it 6-1. What a great game that was. I want to say that this game is going to be 5-2 coming up tonight. I'm definitely going to be looking at that. I believe that the Nationals are going to go ahead and advance in the playoffs. I think that Dave Martinez has got them straight. The bullpen is looking better, but the bullpen's got to get it done. They did last night. Doolittle did exactly what he needed to do. And you talk about Max getting out of a jam, bases loaded, 7th inning, he just fired as hard as he could through 107 pitches. And when Max's stuff is working, he's unbeatable. And looking right now, Steven Strasburg's got the mail tonight. I think Steven Strasburg. Come on, DJ. Words are hard. Go with me. Look, I want to say that Steven Strasburg is going to be monumental tonight. I think he's going to have a 10-strikeout game. I think that we're going to have home runs, and we're going to take it 5-2. And now the thing that scares me is that it's in Dodger Stadium, and Dodger Stadiums can get very loud, very quick, and it's going to be a rough one. But we got to hang in there, and I believe that the Nationals are going to win. Go Nationals, go all the way, go to the World Series. That's my prediction. And really, guys, that's what I've got. I do have one more story that I want to cover as we approach the last 15 minutes on the show. The XFL has announced that they're going to have their draft. I want to let you know a couple things with that. Vince McMahon has put a lot into this. The XFL, the football league that you probably forgot about, never really needed it in the first place, still exists and is holding their inaugural draft next week. The league announced the draft rules on Monday. They are different. The basics are normal enough. It's a 2-day draft, which will take place October 15th and 16th, as a result to be announced. That happen on the XFL website and various social media channels. Each of the 8 teams will choose from a pool of approximately 1,000 players to be populated their 71-man roster. Then things get weird, and this is where it does. Before a single player is chosen, each team will be assigned one quarterback. In its press release, the XFL didn't reveal who the 8 quarterbacks will be, how they will be chosen out of the XFL's large pool of draft-eligible players, or how they'll be assigned to each team. There's likely a wide range of talent in the quarterback pool, and depending on how the XFL's rating of those players, those QBs assigned could doom a team before it has a chance to pick a player it actually wants. Last thing I'm going to read on this: the actual draft will separate into 5 different phases, with each phase dedicated to a different subset of skill players. Here's how the draft will be divided for press release: 1 skill player, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end; offensive line, offensive tackle, offensive guard, and the OC; defensive front 7, defensive linebacker, DL and linebacker; defensive backfield, cornerback, strong safety, free safety; open draft. All remaining players after positional drafts, in the addition of punter, kicker, and long snapper, will be picked. All right, so there's a couple things on this as we go through just to finish this out. I think it's a good idea, because that way when you have a draft like that, the only thing that I don't like and the only thing I don't think should happen is the automatic assigning of the quarterbacks. I think that should be something that the 8 teams should be able to pick themselves, because that way they can decide where the quarterbacks go. I like the skill set, though, with the linebackers and the defensive line and all that, because that way everybody is able to pick their players equally. The only thing that I don't agree with is the 71-man roster. I'm not even sure if the NFL has the 71-man roster. and basically I'm not sure how that's going to go. So we'll have to see October 15th and 16th how everything is going to be. So they will let us know on that, and I will keep you posted on that. Going back to the life insurance thing for just a minute, again, it'll be about 2 weeks, but I'm going to do some major research on this and see if I can't get some definite answers and see if I can also get a hold of the state commissioner. Now, I want to take a minute or two before I go into my contact info in the show here, just to bring up Chairmaster Games. I have been working with Cooking with Carter and Chairmaster Games around the same length of time. Cooking with Carter is still up. I'm mainly doing Cooking with Carter right now because I don't have a camera person. I'm working with Emily to get her trained all the way through. We're just about there. But I'm mainly doing that on Facebook. Now, Chairmaster Games I have been working with quite a bit. I'm posting every other day or every 2 days. I'm asking for people to share this and actually go to Chairmaster Games. It's a channel that is devoted to older games, Super Nintendo, Nintendo, RPGs. I do PS4, PS3, all of that. All the games that I do are in complete entireties. I don't edit anything out. I have all the battles in. I'm just about done with Final Fantasy II. I'm going to be doing Final Fantasy III. I'm going to be doing Chrono Trigger on PlayStation. I'm going to be doing Zelda Ocarina of Time on N64. I'm going to be doing Red Dead Redemption, The Last of Us. When The Last of Us 2 comes out, I'm going to do that one. Spider-Man. I'm going to do basically Final Fantasy III, Mystic Quest. I'm going to do Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore. So I'm going to be doing a lot of games. And if there's games that you would like to see done in their entirety, let me know. Hit me up. Please, please, please go to Chairmaster Games. You'll see Emily and I's wedding picture up there. Subscribe to it. I've only got 21 subscribers right now, and I need lots and lots of views. So please, guys, go out there and check it out. Let me know what you think of it. Leave me a comment in the box. Let me know what you want to see. I will get it done. We develop classic games and play them in their entirety. So please go check that out when you get a minute. Guys, you can always reach me on www.letgoradio at 757-774-7552. You can hit me up on Facebook with the Sports Minion Radio Show like page. You can hit me up on Yahoo. I will open the email bag next week. I did not get to the email bag this week because I had such a big story that I wanted to cover here. I believe that you guys can still reach me on the on my Yahoo there, www.yahoo.com. It's the Sports Minion Radio Show at yahoo.com. Also, you can reach me on Yahoo at YouTube Cooking with Carter. You can reach me on Chairmaster Games, and you can reach me on the Sports Minion Radio Show. And don't forget about Twitter. All the tweets coming out. Tweet me up, hit me up, follow me on the Sports Minion Radio Show at Minion Sports on Twitter. Listen, that's going to do it for me, and we will see you next week. I am D to the J with the roll away. Hope everybody has a great one, and we'll see you when I see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock to deliver sports to the community the best way I can on the Sports Minion Radio Show. We'll see you next Wednesday at 2. Unfortunately, that's going to for this week's episode of the Sports Minion Radio Show. Until next week at 2 o'clock on Facebook and at www.rednote.net, where we once again will deliver the sports news the most entertaining way we can. We'll see you next time. Peace.